And to talk about Barrel-Abe, I'm going to ask for Faye Iskowitz and one of the Olsen twins.
Yeah, Tina.
I know you.
Needless to say, Millie is a hard act to follow. But just for clarification for everybody that's here, basically, of the 6 siblings, the 3 women came to the United States. The 3 men did not. Now, Barrel-Abe was the second in line in the series of 6 children, and he brought his family to a town called Czechenowce. Even though he was born in Semyatic, Czechenowce is a little bit south, I think, and a little west, if I remember the map correctly. And he raised his children. He had all girls except 1 boy. And my mother, of course, my mother did not grow up in Czechenowce. She grew up in another town called Lushitz, so that she would have to go to visit the grandfather, and it was very infrequently. So my mother, who of course does send you all the very best regards, but that she's so sorry she couldn't be here today, will be 100 years old in February. And she's only the 3rd in line. So that some of you who are 3rd in line are not even close in age to hers, you know, in terms of generations. At any rate, so she doesn't have that much of a memory that she handed down to me, and I don't know if Tina's grandmother had anything to tell her either. But my mother, living in Lushitz, had memories of going to Semyatic to visit Eleanor's and all the Yerichim's descendants that are in London, or some of those of you that are here. She went there in 1914, and when she came there in 1914, she came to Yerichim's house, stayed by Yerichim, and when she came into the door, there was a young woman there who was speaking a very peculiar language. It was Eleanor's grandmother, and her grandmother had been living in London and came back to Poland to visit her parents, Yerichim and Bina, and she figured, well, she came to visit her parents, and she'll go back to London. Well, 1914, the war broke out, World War I, and she got stuck there for 4 years, till afterwards she went back to London. But in that year of 1914, my mother was there for 2 weeks. She slept with Eleanor's grandmother, and she has a very vivid recollection of where Yerichim lived, the house, the German bullets, and 1 bullet that went through Yerichim's hat as he was, I don't know if he was standing in the courtyard or whatever, so that she got to know a little bit of the Semyatic family, but only for the 2 weeks that she was there. Her history during World War I, she was 14 years old in 1914, of course. The Germans occupied her town in Lushitz. They were better to the Jews than the Russians from the Tsar's army, and she had to earn a living for her sister Sarah and for a stepmother and a stepsister, because her father in 1911 went to America to work so he could bring the family to America. So from Poland to America. And of course the war broke out and he couldn't bring them, and she had to work. And she worked in a German hospital, and they trained her as a nurse. The pay was a potato, sometimes an egg, which she had to share with her family. And she survived the war and then came here to America. And I just